Welcome, everyone, to Mayhem from the Heartland podcast, episode 2. Be your host, Victor. Today's episode, we're going to be just getting to know me, giving you a little history on where I'm from, what I've done, what I've seen, and just a little bit of my life story. To get started, to start that story, I got to tell you where I'm from. Born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a little small city, southeastern Wisconsin, right off of Lake Michigan. Born there, lived off of 18th and National. Not a very good place to be. Um, Periodically ranks in the top 10 most violent or most dangerous cities in the United States. A lot of gangs, a lot of drugs, a lot of prostitution, a lot of crime. But it built me. It built who I am today in many ways. I remember growing up right off of 18th Street. There's a parking lot and a funeral home right next to it, and our buddy's house on the end of the street. We would sit there and just watch prostitution stings, police dressed as prostitutes picking up men, excuse me, and any man that would stop and engage ultimately get arrested and charged with something. It was hilarious. I thought it was funny. Sense of humor is a little bit different. Older brother served some time in prison at a younger age, idolized him, so I started going down the same path, gangbanging and running with the wrong crowd. But at some point, I grew up and realized there was more for me. So at the tender age of 22, I enlisted in the Marine Corps. Speak with my mother, and I grew up a mother's boy, mama boy. When I turned 18, I told her, "Mom, I'm enlisted in the Marine Corps." She told me, "No, you're not." So, okay, I didn't. At 20, again, I was like, "Mom, I'm thinking about enlisted in the Marine Corps." And she's, "No, you're not." So again, I didn't. But at 22, I told her, "Hey, Ma, I'm thinking about, it's Marine Corps calling me. It's something that I've been wanting to do." Again, she said, "No, you're not." And so I looked at her. I was like, "Well, unfortunately, it's already done. I've signed the paperwork. I'm leaving for boot camp and for MEPS on February 20th." So February 20th, recruiter came and picked me up, and off to MEPS I went, and then a flight out to San Diego. I am a Hollywood Marine. We those of us born on the west side of the Mississippi go to California, where everybody on the east side of the Mississippi goes to Lejeune. I go to San Diego, stand in the two yellow footsteps, and my journey begins February 20th. 2007. Now, before I get into the boot camp experience, what got me to wanting to be a Marine? What brought me to that decision? It's time. I've seen all the movies. I've seen the Black Hawk Downs. I've seen Saving Private Ryan. I've seen them all. But the one that drew my attention was Sniper. I saw that movie and I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be a sniper. I want to do what that man is doing. Unfortunately, never made it to being a sniper, but I did end up being a machine gunner. To me, the second best MOS in the Marine Corps, if not the best MOS in the Marine Corps. And the reason I was able to do machine gunner straight out of boot camp is uh, I served as a reservist for Fox Company 224 out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And as a reservist, you can sign either a contract for a specific MOS based on the unit that you have in your city, which Fox Company is an infantry unit. Or you can also do the open contract and you'll get whatever MOS within that company, whatever it may be. So I wanted, I wanted a big gun. I wanted something that was automatic and something that would truly challenge me as an individual, as a man. So machine gunner. And the reason I want reserve, honestly, it's speaking to my recruiter. I asked him, how can I go to boot camp tomorrow? And he told me active duty. There was a wait period for me to leave for boot camp and actually go because the Marine Corps was not having issues. Nobody at that time actually was having issues hitting their recruiting numbers. There was just a wait. The only option we had to go to boot camp immediately as soon as possible, from what I was told, was going reservist. I spoke with the recruiter, asked him, is there any way that once I'm in my unit, once I've done boot camp and everything, can I go active duty? And he said, absolutely. If there's a unit out there that needs a machine gunner that has an opening in their unit in their weapons company or whatever it may be, I can submit the paperwork, get transferred over to active duty at any point, anytime. So then I also asked if, let's say, there's no opening for a machine gunner, can I volunteer to go on a deployment with an active duty or even another reserve unit? And again, was told yes. So those two things, one saying that I can go active duty and I can volunteer to deploy with another unit. Well, what's the worst? Let's go reserve. So let's fast forward back to February 20th, 07, boot camp. Get on those yellow footsteps. And when I tell you guys, it's a life changing experience. I mean, when you get there, you're like, what the fuck did I do? I'm dumb as hell with the screaming, the yelling. It's a culture shock and it is a slap to the face. The experience you get from the moment you get on that bus after you getting off that plane to getting to Recruit Depot, San Diego, stepping on those yellow footprints, and then going on in. But I'll tell you, for me personally, I was 22 years old. I was one of the older guys in the platoon, in the company, and in the battalion. That it was different for me. I'd been through so much, doing stupid shit as a child, running streets. That I was looking for discipline. I was looking for direction. So it made it easier for me. And don't get me wrong, it was still tough. It was tough as shit. They challenged me every single day. I'd do it all over again if I could, in our heartbeats. So you do your boot camp, 13 weeks. One of my biggest remembrances of boot camp, when they first get you on the rope to climb. I remember getting on that thing, not having the confidence at all whatsoever, scared as shit, and just got a quarter of the way up, and I was like, I can't do this. By end of boot camp, I made it to the top, rang the bell, came back down, and kept it moving. It was for me, it was a great experience. It was a great time that I was so unconfident in myself that on my first attempt, halfway, and I just gave up. Boot camp, our run, our last obstacle course, and this is during the Crucible, and I make it and ring the bell, touch the top. So that was awesome. But intake, during intake, it's weird because you got so many people in front of you, so many people talking to you, so many documents you're signing, and then you go through medical. You have what seemed like 17,000 shots. Shot after shot after shot after shot. It's ridiculous. And I remember sitting at the chair, and I have essentially just here, and I'm looking left to right, shot everywhere, and talking to the corpsman, the nurse. I remember her saying to me, "Is that you're different." It's like you're watching us put the needle in you, and guys bigger than you can't take us. Will faint while getting a shot. And I remember telling her, "I was like, well, shit, give me one of the needles. I'll give myself the shot." And as I said that, one of the another recruit, because we're called recruits. We don't have names. We don't have you're nobody. You're a recruit. So when you speak, it's not I, me. It's this recruit. Up until you're giving your EGA, and then you get your rank and your last name. But one of the other recruits actually became pretty good friends with, big guy by my size as well. He fainted, passed out, and hilarious. I mean, I couldn't help but laugh. So then from there, you go on. You actually get picked up by your drill instructors, your actual platoon, your company, and whatnot. You go through 13 weeks of training, phase one, where they're breaking you down. They got to take out everything that is you from your previous life. Unwillingness to do this or do that. They break you down because they need to then in phase two build you up to be the Marine that the Marine Corps needs. So you got a breakdown, a build up, and then you have phase three where you're a Marine and you're learning standards as far as like your uniforms or your dress blues, your alphas, all that stuff. They teach you how to tie a half Windsor. And funny story, I'm jumping all over the place right now, but if I don't speak about this now, I'll forget. We were getting our alphas done, and they were teaching us how to do a half Windsor. prior to me leaving for boot camp, I worked at a bank. So I tied half Windsors and full Windsors. And while we were all getting practicing and whatnot, I gave myself a full Windsor. And I remember a drill instructor walks past me, stops, comes back, and who taught you how to do that? I worked at a bank. I've known how to do this for years. Good. Take it out and give me a Windsor, and then take it out and repeat until I get tired. So I sat there and doing a half Windsor. I want to say it's exaggeration, but I want to say it was like 30 minutes. It may have been 5 minutes, it may have been 10, but it felt like 30. It was a bitch, but it was that's one of those core memories that you remember. But we'll go back. We'll go to the crucible. So you do your all your trainings, you go through your evolutions, and then you finally get to going up the Reaper. For those that aren't from or have not been in Pendleton, the Reaper is best words I can say. It's a mind fuck. You get to the base of this mountain and you look up like shit. And for us, for my company, it was a cloudy day, foggy day, so you don't see the entire mountain. So when we got to that first peak, that first flat land, I'm thinking to myself, "Oh shit, we did it." And they keep on walking, and you look, and there's another slope. And you're like, "Well, shit." So we're not done yet. You get to that next flat area, and you're okay, maybe we're done, maybe we're not. But then you look up again, and you're like, "Well, shit, here's the third one." So you go up that last one. And by the time you get to that last one, you already know, okay, there's got to be more. There's more. And sure shit, there's one more. Now, your drill instructors trying to motivate you, trying to get you pumped up, tell you, okay, we're going to run up this last hill. And I remember thinking to myself, no, the fuck I'm not. Because during this entire time, during the crucible, on the back heel of my foot, I got a big ass blister that was a baseball size. So I taped it up. I grabbed tape and just wrapped my foot up and was going up this Reaper with a damn blister. So, whatever, we all start running and about 100 feet up that damn hill, everybody started walking, including some of our drill instructors. But I tell you, when you make it to the top of the Reaper and you see all the plaques, citations for every Marine that has ever received a Medal of Honor, and they read every single one of them to you. It is a humbling experience because they're talking about Marines that came before you, ship Marines that I knew about through just learning about them prior to me going to boot camp, and then speaking about them in boot camp. It was humbling. Now, the shitty part about this was that typically previous Marines would receive their EGAs on the top of the Reaper, and now you're a Marine. For some reason, for my training company at my 13-week period, that wasn't the case. We came down to Reaper, and we were still recruits. Now we're going into phase 3, though. But that Monday, they call it Medical Monday. They look over all the Marines that have a stand online in our squad bay, and you face forward. They'll walk down and they'll do a quick inspection of every recruit there. Then they have you turn around, about face, and they come back and they look you head to toe. And when drill instructor gets to me, he stops and, "What the fuck is that?" And like I said, a blister about that fucking big on my on the heel of my foot. And immediately they pull me out of line. I'm going to medical. So me and some other Marines, we go. We freaking we we're taken care of. So for me, they had to drain all the fluid out of the blister. So they stuck a needle in with a syringe and just took it all out, and then they burned the nerve endings of that blister to help heal faster. So we go back to, and this is all in Camp Pendleton. So we go from Recruit Depot San Diego to Camp Pendleton for Crucible, and then we go back. Now for Marine Week, we go back to Camp Pendleton, and we're helping working parties. That's all we're doing, working parties and helping clean up the base, clean up areas. For me, they had me sit back and I had to paint everybody's dress shoes, the sole, not the sole, but what is it called? The sole, the leather part. I had to paint all of them with some black paint. But they put me in this small little closet. And when they came back, I remember drill instructor say, "Hey, you high?" I was high as shit. The fumes, everything from that paint. I was in that small little closet where I was high as a kite, but got everybody's shoes painted. So we were ready for graduation. And so fast forward, we get to phase three, graduation time. You get family day, your family shows up, you get to hang out with them for the day. You're still a recruit. So you're not you still, it's not me, I, this, that. It's still this recruit. My family showed up late. So I only had about half a day with them. But I remember getting back, senior drill instructor, when we were sitting in a school circle at the end of the day, because we would do that with our senior drill instructors from time to time. He calls me out. He's like, "Hey, recruit, I understand." And I'm sitting there, "Well, you understand what?" It is like, "I saw your father." And he's talking about my dad's beard. My dad's beard is pretty much just about down here. So it's a pretty big beard. And in boot camp, I was shaving 3 times a day. And it was it got pretty bad that at one point in my neck, it was so raw that it started to split open. So then I had a no shave chip for a little while. That was cool. But yeah, he saw my dad. I understand. This shit. I don't shave anymore. One, I'm a man, so I'm not shaving this. But if I shave this off today, it'll be the exact same size tomorrow, pretty much. So it doesn't it. I'm not wasting money on razors. But yeah, so that was the boot camp experience. It was one of the most challenging things I've ever done in my life, but one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done in my life. I went from a young man with some confidence in myself to a Marine that knew that there's nothing that was put in front of me that I cannot conquer, that I cannot get done. It raised my level of confidence in myself to levels I never knew were possible. So from there, you get to go home for 10 days. You get 10 days leave, and then you got to report back for us again, it was Camp Pendleton for SOI or School of Infantry. School of Infantry, it does not matter what MOS you have. It does not matter if you're a cook. It does not matter if you're a librarian, male. You go through your School of Infantry. So it's 1 or 2 weeks of actual infantry training. So your basic rifle, a handgun, a grenade tossing, stuff like that. And then once you're done with that week or two, then you actually get sent off into your actual MOS school that you've been assigned to. So I go to my machine gunners and we start training there. We train on the 240 Golf, which was the machine gun, the 240 that we had when I was in the school, when I was going through boot camp and whatnot. Later on, we transitioned to 240 Bravo, but then we also trained on the Mod Deuce 50 cal and then the Mark 19. SOI, again, it was challenging. The schooling was challenging, but I remember, so you got a certain amount of time with every weapon system. And then you have to take a written test on these weapon systems. Now, for me, I've been a horrible test taker since I can remember. So I failed every single one of the tests, but it wasn't indicative of my knowledge of the weapon systems. Because I remember after the last test on the Mark 19, they were going to fail me and push me back to another training platoon so that I could take the test all over again. But the sergeant, one of the instructors, a sergeant, Hispanic guy as well, he told the COs that he knows his knowledge. He knows the weapon systems. He's one of our better Marines and with these systems. So they gave me a verbal test. He started asking me questions about the weapon systems, disassemble or disassemble and reassemble, just knowledge that was on the test that a Marine should know. And flying colors passed and answered every question that he asked. And this was a captain that was in charge of us at that time. And so by the grace of God, I was not pushed back. I graduated with the rest of the guys. And thankfully I did, because a week before graduation, the captain, we were in a school circle, captain comes out and he's like, "Hey, we have any Marines from Fox Company 224 out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin?" Raise my hand. He's like, I see you back here in about 2 to 3 weeks. He's like, "You guys are going off, you've been activated." Fuck yeah. That's what I signed up for. That's what I enlisted for. And that's why I went through all this hell for. Some Marines, some individuals you might hear say, "Oh, that's not why I joined." Bullshit. If you join the Marine Corps, you enlisted the Marine Corps, you enlist to fight. We are the world's most premier fighting force, hands down the best. And that's what we do. We fight. That's what we train to do. So I was happy. I was happy as hell. I was ecstatic going to Iraq. We get home and we check into my unit. Now, checking into the unit, you fly, we were supposed to fly from California to Chicago to Milwaukee airport. The flight from Chicago to Milwaukee is 15 minutes. So in my young, infinite wisdom, I decided to rent a vehicle and drive from Chicago to Milwaukee, which is a 45 to an hour drive on a good day. Once you hit traffic through the loop and through downtown, it could take an hour to sometimes 2 hours to get from Chicago to Milwaukee. So I was late checking in. I get to the drill station, ring the doorbell on the gate. Thankfully, somebody was there. Tell them I'm here to check in. They opened the gate, let me in, and I'm getting drilled. There was a first sergeant and a couple other, some corporals and a sergeant that were there still. So they checked me in, and we're good to go. Wasn't there wasn't too much to it. To being a reservist, you check in, you throw your stuff into a locker, and you pretty much stuff you got to take home, you take home with you, and then you're good to go. But not too long after that, we had a family day. Just was letting families know, hey, we have been activated. We are deploying to Iraq, where we're going to be in this area of the El Anbar province. Can't tell you exactly where we're going to be, and then tentative dates of when we're going to be there. We do that, and then we get all our stuff, all our gear. Day comes, we're flying out to 29 Palms. Now, this is an unpopular opinion to many Marines, especially those that serve there, but I love 29 Palms. It's the world's biggest gun range. You get to shoot whatever the hell you want as far as your MOS. So we shot the 240, the 50, the My Deuce, and then the Mark 19. At least us reservists. Active duty, I'm not. Fleet guys, I don't know. But as far as ammo wise, for the machine guns, we barely ever got ammo, especially for the 50 and the Mark 19. I mean, I think in my 6 years with my unit, we got behind a 50 and a Mark 19, maybe 3, 4 times. But sure shit, we had a lot of time behind that 240. And I remember during one of our ATs, our annual trainings, we had a new CO who had a boner for machine gunners, and he got us so much damn ammo that the last day of training, we still had ammo left. We all know that if we hand that ammo back in, next time we don't get it. So we get on at this point, and this is years down the road. This is after our deployment. Quick story: I'm corporal at this time, in charge of some Marines and whatnot. So I get behind my gun, and one of the guys, one of the Marines, that he wasn't a machine gunner by trade. That wasn't his MOS. He's 0311, but he trained with machine gunners. When we deployed and we needed specific machine gun teams, he would come with us. I tell him, "Hey, man, you wanna shoot? Yeah, let's get behind the gun." And we had, I think it was like 600 rounds, 4 or 600. I don't remember. It's been a while, but I tap him on the shoulder as a team leader does, letting them know that they're cleared hot. They can go. So I tap him on the shoulder and I said, "Let it go." Now, for me and him, we trained so much time together. If I said let it go, he knew it's cyclic. You just hold that trigger down, you fire. So he let off the entire belt into that barrel. I was starting to turn red. I've never been shoot out so much in my life, in my time in anywhere ever. And I explained, I heard you guys say, "Let's go," and I took that as, "Hey, we need to get rid of this as fast as possible. Fastest way is cyclic. Let's go." So that I want to say that helped. I don't know. I don't know. But let's go back up to deployment. 29. We get to 29 Palms. We're there for, I believe, 5 months. We're training different scenarios, using CQB, room clearing, freaking clearing a village, using a tank as cover and as protection from oncoming enemy fire, Kazivacs, the whole nine, everything. Picked up combat lifesaver certification while I was in the Corps in 29 Palms. We just all the training that you think you need, you get. One of our training courses or evolutions, I thought was amazing. We were hitting a village. There's a HVT or high value target that we needed to get to, and we knew the house, but we knew going in there was going to be a high resistance. So you got the coyotes out there, and you got the actors out there, active duty Marines, anywhere from recon Marine to sniper to infantry guy to a fucking cook could be out there. And me and my squad, we're getting ready to cross the street because for this deployment, yeah, I'm a machine gunner, and whenever there's machine gun evolutions, that's what I did. But we were integrated with the 11, so we were doing 11 shit. We were kicking doors and taking names. So, and I was a saw gunner. You know, it only makes sense. Machine gunner, saw gunner. Hey, let's put them together. And for those that don't know, saw gunner, squad automatic weapon. So saw. And we get to a road, and when you hit a road, it's always going to be a danger zone, danger area. So you have to make sure that you cross this in a specific way so that not everybody is crossing at one time, and not everybody gets schwacked by a enemy gunner down the road somewhere. One of the Marines, Lance Corporal, he's running across the street. You send one, so you get one guy or two Marines taking security up and down the road. That way, that you got your first Marine that'll run across the road, so that we have somebody over there. Now he's holding security one way or the other. And then you keep on moving until you're the last Marine, and everybody on the other side is now holding security. So the last Marine gets to go. Well, I'm the last Marine, and I'm just waiting, and my buddy runs across the road, and you hear a gunshot go off. Now we're using sim rounds, simulation rounds, paintballs, 9mm round. They hurt like hell if you get hit on a body part. I just see him drop to the ground, because if you get shot and it's a kill hit, you need to drop. You know, I'm running, and I have my saw up, and I get hit in the hand. So I get hit right here, and I'm a right-handed person, but I shoot left-handed. I'm left eye dominant. And I have my saw up, and I get hit right in my hand, but I look down at my buddy. You see a little blue mark in the middle of his Kevlar helmet. He got shot in the head by a freaking a damn sniper. That was pretty cool. But we make it. We get we get our HVT, and we actually encounter a civilian who had some injuries, a head wound, and being that I had just gone through the combat lifesaver course, treated that, and made sure that that individual was okay, and got some kudos at the end from our our evaluators, usually in other officers or higher rank Marines. So that was good training. We trained we raid cleared an entire village. So we're using tanks as cover, as protection. Get into the city, we start running through houses. Now at this point, we have been removed from the 11 platoons and put back into our weapons platoon, so because we're using machine gun teams, machine gun and whatnot. But for some reason, SR decides that not only am I going to run around and every other machine gunner is going to run around with a 240, we're going to run around with a saw as well. He got chewed out after the fact, but yeah, that shit was stupid. But we got it done, and we were told that we did the best out of any unit that has gone through their active duty reserve, and they were thoroughly impressed with how we performed. So training was great. Training was fun. Training was it was a bitch, but it was worth it every day. Something we said, and I heard a lot in the Corps, especially with my unit. There was no easy day but yesterday, or the only easy day was yesterday. So you take that mantra, that thought process, and understand that every day in front of you there might be a struggle, and the only easy day was yesterday. So you keep on moving forward. But yeah, it was a great time. So you train. There's two ranges on that base that I can't. I fucking hate range 400 and range 410 alpha. Machine gunners, you guys know what I'm talking about. That 410 alpha is a bitch. You run up that mountain, up that hill, get in your shooting positions. For us, at least, they made us come back down and run back up with the next squad, and then come back down, run up with the next squad, and then we did that 4 times. And then somebody with common sense, like, just stay up there. We think you understand what your role is, your job. But yeah, that was a bitch. Range 400, it was hot as hell. That one, they kept making us run up every evolution with every squad. So ultimately, somebody higher ranking than I told all us gunners to aim at the same spot, which so happened to have a lot of bush, a lot of dead bushes, some wood, and we started a fire that gave us about an hour or 2 hours of reprieve, rest, in shade, so we didn't have to keep running up that damn hill. All right. So moving forward, We go through our build up and we're getting ready to fly out to Kuwait to get into Iraq. Before we do, we have to get a smallpox shot. Now, I'll take shots if needed, or if you can make it make sense to me. But I also live in a gray area, and I'm going to find some way to beat the system so I don't have to take the shot. They're going to give it to us. Excuse me. They're going to give it to us about a week before, or a couple of days before we're going home for leave for during Christmas time. So before we flew out to Iraq, and I'm not going to go home and not be able to hug my mom, my family, the lady. So I did my research how I can bypass getting this shot. I didn't want the smallpox shot. I wasn't going to get the smallpox shot. So I did find that if there's two things you can do, and I'm not gonna say what those are on air on in this video, but there are a couple of things that you can do that would cause you to not be able to get that shot. I did both of them, and when we get back to medical, they saw this and they told me, if you get smallpox, we don't want to hear shit from you. If I get smallpox, it's time for me to go anyway. So it is what it is. Go home, have a great Christmas with the family, get back to 29 Palms, and now we're waiting for the we're on the tarmac, or not on the tarmac, but we're out in the parking lot. It was like 06, and we're waiting for the buses to come pick us up. Sun is up, sun's out. When we get out there and we stage, sun is gone by the time the buses get there. They come and get us. We get on planes. We fly out. I believe we land in either Maine or Maryland. I can't remember exactly what state. And then from there, we fly into Kuwait. Kuwait, we're there. I want to say it was about a week. From there, once that week's up, we fly into Iraq. We go to our first base or area, AO, and it's a temporary one. We're there literally just supposed to be there 2 weeks to get acclimated to the weather. We're there for a few days, and we're on the move. We're on our way to our FOB, and FOB is forward operating base. As we're going, we're in Fort Vix. We're being driven. We're going to be dropped off, and we have 4 7 tons taking us, transferring us to this FOB. We pass an IP station or Iraqi police station, and literally as soon as the last vehicle, my Vic 4, the one I was in, we get hit by an IED. Vic 1 gets hit, and me, of course, I'm doing the exact thing they tell us not to do. I'm dead asleep. I'm sleeping. I'm pretty sure I got drool, snoring, and I get woken up out of a dead sleep. What's going on? We get hit by an IED. Okay, shit. Day one, the first day out of the wire, just real. Let's go. So we all dismount and we do a quick 360 to see if we have to engage an enemy, whatever it may be. So nothing happens. We just get hit by ID. That's it. So then they make the entire 4 7 tons of Marines get online, and now we're searching in moonlight with NVGs on to see if we can find any tripwires, anything that could be connected to another ID. Now we're doing all this. The IP station's behind us. No movement, no lights, nothing coming out of that building. So we're walking. I see a wire, freaking freeze the entire the line, the search. Here's a wire right here. So they look it down. Nothing comes of it. We're good to go. Staff Sergeant sees a house about 500 yards in the distance, and he wants us to go take this house or investigate this house. Now, there's concertina wire everywhere, so we have to cut it, and I'm the last Marine in the line. And I'm thinking to myself, this building behind us hasn't been cleared. We haven't checked it. We don't know if there's anybody in there, if there's an enemy combatant. We don't know what's there. So I turn around and start holding security on this building. And I remember Staff Sergeant telling me, hey, stop being a bitch. Go with the rest of the guys. Let's go. And Staff Sergeant, we haven't cleared this building. We don't know what's in there. Let's get some of the Marines and let's go clear this building. And we could have enemy combatant, and I get shot in the back. I'm the last Marine. Well, shit, we should have cleared that building. And as he told me to go with the other Marines, as I'm starting to turn around, lights come on in the building. The door slams open. A bunch of fucking men with AKs come running out of the damn building. And as I'm swinging my AK up, or my saw up to get ready to engage, they start screaming IP, Iraqi police. So I don't engage. Nothing comes of it. But there's some conversations going on between our interpreter and some of the officers beyond my rank. So I'm a freaking PFC. We load everybody up. They clear that house. Nobody's there. We load back up into the 7 tons. The Marines that were on Vic 1 get piled into the other 7 tons. We get moved to our fob. Fob life, if you've been there, you know it sucks. This one was small, but we were holding a security or a presence. That's we didn't go on foot patrols. We were just a presence in a security company there. We had instructions that if we were on post without vehicles weren't allowed to just freely come and go. They had to stop. They got inspected and they moved on. Unless it was Iraqi police or the Iraqi army, they were allowed to go and come as they pleased. We were never shot at. We never received any contact, at least while I was on duty on post. Up the road about a mile, there was another checkpoint, and they were forever getting into firefights. You could hear it from our fob, but they never came by us and never made it to us. But this is the first time I've seen death caused by a gunfight like that. While on post, I see a truck just flying down the road. And again, they're allowed to freely come and go. As I look into the back of the truck, there is a bunch of bodies of dead policemen who were getting moved out of the kill zone. That was, like I said, the first time I'd ever seen bodies from combat. And it was quick. They came and went. It wasn't like they stopped there. They drove right by. So from the fob, we actually were moved to Havanilla, which is across the street from TQ, which is the air base in the LMR Providence. We weren't too far from Ramadi, and we weren't far from Camp Fallujah either. We actually went to both areas numerous times. So we were that's where we spent most of our. That's where I spent most of my deployment was in Havanilla. We would do patrols behind Havanilla. We do vehicle patrols. We were out, I would say, consistently almost every other day. So my platoon was the QRF Quick Reaction Force. So we were out quite a bit because we would get called consistently. Now, during this deployment, it was a very quiet deployment. Very quiet in the sense there was no, we weren't engaging enemy combatants. We weren't being shot at. We weren't in firefights every single day. I mean, for me, the most significant warnings we got were we go on a foot patrol, possible snipers in the area. Okay, that's shit that I can't. You worry about, but it's not something I can control. Let's go. If we engage. But a lot of ours was mounted patrols. My platoon, we actually would patrol the little village behind Havanilla across the river. So we would take the ferry across the Euphrates and go patrol this little village and come back. So it was a stressful deployment, but not in a sense that one would think. Again, we didn't see combat in your typical way. We did missions. We had a night mission. It was a joint mission with the Army. And we're going to pick up a bunch of HVTs, 0 Dark 30. So we had to coordinate with them. Ultimately, that mission was a bust. I don't remember us pulling everybody that we needed to get that date, but we got some of the guys. Most of the deployment our company did was mounted vehicle patrols, night vehicle patrols, and foot patrols throughout the presence patrols. This next part, and bear with me, it still stings a lot today. On April 4th, 2008, I'm in my squad bay with the rest of the platoon. We're just hanging out, having a relaxed day. And we get a call on the radio, QRF up. And now we're all pissed because we had just been told we were clear for the day. We weren't going to be on. Essentially, we had the day to ourselves. So QRF up. We know, okay, we got to go. Everybody gets up, throwing boots on, trousers, getting our shit together, getting ready for whatever this may be, and pissed off because we don't know what's going on. We get out to the vehicles, we're mounting the heavy weapons and waiting to hear what the hell is going on. We finally hear something, and what we hear is WIA, wounded in action. So what the fuck you talking about? Anger starts to arise in all of us. Who got hurt? Who did it? Let's get these fuckers. We're waiting. We're waiting for Sergeant to come out and tell us what's going on. As he's coming out on the radio, before he can reach us and talk to us and tell us what's going on, we hear KIA. 2 KIAs, 2 killed in action. Now we're truly pissed. Now every Marine there is pissed because we don't know, is it WIA, KIA, what is it? Sergeant finally gets to us and confirms there are 2 KIAs, 1 WIA, 2 killed in action, 1 wounded in action. So we load up, we push out to the location, and we find out that some of our headquarters platoon Marines who they did mounted vehicle patrols as well. Don't know exactly what their patrols were for, what they would do on them. But on this day, the driver deviated from the route just a little bit and hit a pressure plate, and the vehicle was hit by an IED. During that day, that moment, it actually tossed the gunner out of the vehicle, it saved his life. The driver and the team leader, unfortunately, they didn't make it. The engine block came in from into the vehicle and pinned them in the vehicle. Marines are there trying to get to these 2 Marines. The vehicle's on fire and they can't get to them. They can't get to them, and there's nothing that we can do to get to these Marines to get these guys out of this fucking vehicle. And the most devastating thing is when they called us off and told us to move away for fear of cook-offs of the 240 ammunition that was in the vehicle. We couldn't get to them. And me, as the lead gunner of any mounted movement that QRF had, I had my 50 cal on me. And I remember seeing in the distance a family on top of a house having a celebration. I didn't know what the fuck it was for. I didn't know if they're celebrating that my brothers were just killed or it was a damn birthday. But it took everything that I am as a man to not engage that house with that 50 and just destroy that entire family or group of people that were on top of that house. I had pure rage in my body, anger, sadness, every feeling that you can feel at that moment. So it even today, still, it stings. That's April 14th. On April 17th, we do roll call. And for those that don't know roll call, you get your entire company, you get them in a room, and CO calls out every Marine's name, and you respond, present, here, whatever it may be. And I remember just the sadness that overtook me when they called the first Marine. No response. Call his name again. No response. They move on to the next Marine. Present. They get to the second Marine, second brother that we lost. No response. Call his name again. No response. It's probably one of the most chilling things I've ever been a part of. One of the very few times you'll see a grown-ass men bawling like babies. But hey, we have to keep pushing. Mission wasn't over. So we continue our patrols. We end up finding, or I believe we ended up finding the man responsible for the IED that killed our Marine. So we detain him, we take him back, we hand him over. And that's the end of that. So fast forward a few months, Fox Company is supposed to be moving to Sadr City. That was the hot spot in Iraq at the moment. That's where all the fighting was at. We were supposed to be getting our chance to fight, and we were going to be moving to Sadr City. But then one of our platoons decided that they wanted to find, at that moment, the biggest cache, weapons cache, ammunitions cache, to ever be found in Iraq. So us going to Sadr City never materialized. They stood us down, and we had to continue digging to see what we found. AKs, ammo, a surface to air, just a massive, massive cache of weaponry that we found. So we dug for a few days, and finally we had the EOD come out, and they did a controlled detonation of the cache and just blew it. And then from there, we started to wind down. We were going to get ripped by the new unit coming in. So we're taking them on patrols with us, showing them the AO, area of operation, and letting them know, what's good, what's bad, what you need to keep an eye out on. Just the intel that we learned, we're handing over this intelligence, to this information, to the new unit. Now, we as reservists, active duty Marines, rightfully talk a lot of shit. We're weekend warriors, 2 weeks a month. Yet we took the same oath that they did. And the unit that ripped us, the most undisciplined active duty unit and fattest unit we'd ever seen. Now, I'm not gonna say who it was. When they showed up to Havanilla and we all saw like, what the hell is this? I thought all active Marines were freaking jacked, fit, and just ready to go. Nah, not these guys. Undisciplined, lost. Somebody lost a flashlight, maybe a radio. Oh, no, it was radio. It was a radio that they lost. So every day, every hour on the hour, they had to come out of the and stand in formation and count off their radios to make sure they all had their radios. I thought that was fucking it was funny as hell to me. But that's neither here nor there. So deployment comes to an end. We fly back home. We get to back to 29 Palms. Now, being a reserve unit comes with some benefits. We were sponsored by Miller, being Wisconsin unit. Miller being a Wisconsin beer, we were sponsored by them. So they had so much damn beer ready for us that we didn't have we couldn't drink it all. We had one Marine. This is the second deployment. He deployed in '05 with Fox Company as well. He gotten so drunk that formation comes up and we can't find him. And when he finally shows up, we're like, dude, where the hell were you? He's like, dude, I woke up under a picnic bench. He just went wandering at nighttime and got just under a picnic bench. He went to sleep. So that, I mean, what do you expect? Yeah, a bunch of Milwaukee guys, Wisconsin guys, beer capital of America. You have all this beer here. You finally let us drink. Yeah, it was a wild night that day. But the deployment comes to an end. We go back home, and now everybody's back doing their civilian work. One thing the Marine Corps does horrible at is they don't teach us how to be civilians, how to go back to normal life. Essentially, just here you go, figure it out on your own. Me, being that I worked at a bank, I was a branch manager. I have to go back and be professional, be a professional individual, helping customers with problems, help keeping my staff morale high, performing at a high level. I do remember we had and the branch that I managed was actually on the north side of Milwaukee in the ghetto as well. Excuse me. And we had two, and it was inside of a grocery store, Pick and Save. They were open 8 p.m. every day, so it was open real late. And I remember we were getting ready to close, and these two young men come in, and they're drunk. They're intoxicated. One of them's making passes at one of my tellers. And I tell the dude, hey, man, you got to go. We're closing. End of the day. She's not interested. She's married. You can have, just go. And he wanted to start arguing with me, get into it with me. Okay, do you, man? Because this is not going to go well for you. And he went to jump the counter to attack me, but his friend grabs him at the last second and yanks him back off the counter and grabs them, and they take off, and they leave the store itself. So obviously we have to call the police. We have to call our security guy. He comes in, we're showing video to the police, to him, and everything. In the video, they see me make a move, and the cops, what are you doing right there? And I tell him, and I grab it, and I was like, I pulled my blade out. I was like, he was going to get stabbed. That man was not going to come over this counter and think he was going to assault me or hit me and not end up taking a forever nap. And I remember the officer look at me, and I tell him, look, officer, I was like, I literally just got back from Iraq. I got back from California 2 weeks ago. I'm back working. I was defending myself and my staff. And he looks at me. He's like, I expect nothing less. And that was it. We ended up closing in branch for the night. Everybody went home and went back to work the next day. So moving forward, worked at this branch, at this bank, and then ended up moving from Wisconsin to Tennessee. So I was driving from Tennessee to Milwaukee every month, 10-hour drive to go to drill. Ultimately, I transferred to the reserve unit there in Smyrna, or not Smyrna, but Lebanon, Tennessee. Excuse me, guys. And for all my Tennessee folks, sorry. I know it's not Lebanon. It's Lebanon or some shit like that. It's Lebanon. It's the country's Lebanon. We're not changing the name of the city because you guys won't call it Lebanon. I think, and I'm with this unit for about 6 months before my contract expires. As I'm getting ready to check out, I remember the first sergeant of this company. He's like, "Hey, think about it before you check out." He said, "Will you ever be able to shoot guns or machine guns again? Maybe. You ever to go to war and fight again? No, maybe. We'll see. So I check out. I check out of the unit, and I live in Tennessee for about a year and a half, and then moved down to Florida back in 2013. At this point, I'm still a banker. I still work in the bank industry, working for one of the larger banks in the United States. I get out of that. I've gotten tired of banking. Time for me to move on. I then move into to IT work. I work in a NOC, Network Operations Center, and then move over to the security side and work there up until September 29th of this year. But in that time, I volunteer for a nonprofit that combats human trafficking globally. Was one of their they call them one of their operators. I was one of on their mobile advisory team. So we trained country's police on different tactics, CQB, snatch and goes, just different marksmanships, just different tactical needs that they need, SWAT teams, tactical units, and whatnot. I then sign on as a contractor with them, and I do some work in Latin America. We build a program with one of directors for the organization. Um, so I volunteered and then did the contracting with them for it ended up being a total of about 2 years, from 2022 to 2024. Um, end of beginning of 2024, we separated and went our own ways. In that time, my wife and I, we actually started our own nonprofit combating human trafficking, or and not just human trafficking, the exploitation of women and children globally, as to include sex trafficking, migrant trafficking, forced labor, forced marriages, whatever exploitation that you could think of, we're fighting it. And the organization we started was called For the One. For the One comes from it's a biblical name. It comes from the proverb in Luke 15:4 of the shepherd with 100 sheep, one goes missing. Will he not leave the 99 on the hillside and go searching for the one? So we've been working on that. We've been working in Latin America, trying to build a program there. We're also trying to find partners to come with us and help us build this organization to fight this evil. We've got individuals that I know personally that will be volunteering, will help out with this program, with this organization. But it's something that's put in our hearts, my wife and I. And thankfully, I was given the skill set and the ability to do this work, train these individuals in different tactics, different things that they need, and just fight this injustice. It's not just a United States problem; it's a global problem. Unfortunately, stateside, we have no jurisdiction. We're not police. We're not. I'm not an officer of the law. I'm not a peace officer. I'm nothing. I'm a Marine vet who has a skill set that was being wasted, and then God gave me an opportunity to move forward with an organization of my own to help fight this injustice. So, if you guys want to know more about it, go ahead and go to my website. It's for the one.org, and you'll see some updates on what we're doing, get some information about what we're about in our mission. And we're looking for vets. If you're a vet or you're a law enforcement officer who wants to get into this type of mission, knows individuals that want to back this mission or be part of this mission, and just fill out the info sheet on our website. But yeah, that's who I am. That's what I've been. That's what I've done with my life. That's where I've been, where I came from to where I'm at now. It's been full circle. A boy that grew up in the hood, idolizing his older brother who served a decade in prison, wanted to be like him, to realizing that there's more out there for him than what the path he was going down. Enlist in the Marine Corps, deploy, get out, and those lessons that I've learned in boot camp, SOI, in my units, honor, courage, commitment. Those are things I still try to live by today. Adapt and overcome. It's one of the ones that I hang on to the most, because life ain't perfect. This world ain't perfect. Stuff happens and you just have to adapt. You have to overcome the situation. Mindset. Brain is the strongest muscle your body has. When your body feels like you can't go, your mind could keep you pushing forward, head down, one foot in front of the other, keep on moving, keep on pushing. Like I said, the only easy day was yesterday. With that, I appreciate you guys joining this episode today. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you guys got some, a preview of my life. And if you did enjoy it, if you did like this video, hit the share, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and just get this episode out to your friends. Let everybody know what we're doing here. I said we'll have videos. We'll be doing interviews with other service members, LEOs, individuals, church individuals. We'll be going over church safety, personal safety. Just we'll be discussing a wide variety of topics on this channel, on this podcast. So I hope you guys join this ride with me. And until next time, Semper Fi.